Then NPV is defined simply. Take cash flow 1 divided by 1 plus R. That's basically present value of the cash flow in year 1. Cash flow 2 divided by 1 plus R squared. That's the present value of cash flow in year 2. Dot, dot, dot. I'm going to call this whole thing PV FCF, which is short for present value of future cash flows. Well, so the whole thing is simply present value of future cash flows minus the cost. That's why we call this net present value, because PVFCF is basically the present value of the cash flows you expect to get into future, net of the cost of putting the project in place. Calculating this is not terribly complicated, especially if you have Excel uh, in your employ. Oddly enough, Excel has a function called NPV, but that function calculates only the present value of the future cash flows. If you're doing this just once, you can always do that. But we're going to actually build a template and take care of that. I mean, I'll also show you how to use the NPV function itself, but it's not that flexible. Come on. All right, let's get a template started. Let's start with our inputs, cost of capital. Cost of capital is a percentage number. Life of projects, I don't know, 5 years. Cost of projects, $50,000. And it starts from year 0, 1. Come on, don't do that to me. I'm going to do this up to 50. Why? Because I can. But I'll never give you anything more than 10 years. These cash flows are going to be all dollar formatted. The first one, year 0, is actually negative of the cost of project. So let me make that a red background. For the remainders, I'm going to kind of do a special format. That's going to tell me those are the numbers you have to enter. You know, if it's a 5-year project, I want the first 5 years to have a green background. Otherwise, whatever the default background is. And you can do this using conditional formatting. By the way, this has nothing to do with actual calculations. It's a way to tell you those are your inputs. You had a question, Cody? Oh, okay. Under conditional formatting, hit new rules, choose user formula to determine which cells to format. And my formula is simple. If this cell, which is B7, is less than or equal to life of the project, make sure that's a fixed reference, pick a format. I'm gonna have this green background. I'm gonna have the font in yellow and bold italic. Okay. Okay. Now, if I copy that, for example, if I change this to 3, only those 3 uh, will be green. And these are also my inputs. So let's say this project had 3 years of cash flows. All right. Let me calculate NPV right here. And I'm going to make this if I was doing this using the NPV function, I would have said NPV, the first argument is the rate, the cost of capital. The second argument is the future cash flows. Then minus cost of the project. Done. But this kind of says uh, every time I do this, I need to kind of change that formula. So we're going to be a little bit smart about it. Here, I'm going to call something, calculate something called clean flow. Let me do something about this rule first. I want to keep the reference to the column same. I'm going to copy all of these and paste the formats. This is simple. If the year is greater than life of the project, make it 0. Otherwise, the cash flow itself. Of course, I wasn't careful fixing that. That way, I don't have to worry about if you use the template from a previous use, you had non-zero numbers in unnecessary places. I'm basically eliminating those. I can calculate present value of these. Take the clean cash flow, divide that by 1 plus the discount rate, fix, raise to the power number of years. Let me make that a different background. It's obvious that NPV is the sum of all those present values, right? And the present value of the year 0 is just negative the cost of the project. Then I can write the NPV as sum of all these present values. So if I change the project and add other years, it's automatically taken care of. Or if I go back to 3 years without even having to clear these, it's automatically done. But I'm kind of stickler. So if all you want is to calculate NPV, boom, it's there, right? So we have a template to calculate NPV. Now, let's think about the decision rule. Let's make sure that's we have